Alright guys, welcome back to another Borderlands 3 video, and in this one, we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 OP legendary items in the game. That's right guys, I've been going through a bunch of legendaries using that legendary glitch slash farm I showed you yesterday. If you want to check out that video, I will leave a link to it down below in the description. But yeah, I've been getting a ton of legendaries from that, testing them all out, and I've found some amazing ones. So we're going to be going through the top 10, mostly weapons, a couple shields here and there, and I think also one grenade. But this should help you guys out with focusing on which ones to try and go after and stuff like that. So yeah, if you enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button down below. Helps me out a lot, and also subscribe for more helpful videos like this coming out in the near future. But yeah guys, so let's go ahead and get into it with number 10. Now the way that I ordered these, I tried to rank them by just general usefulness. Obviously some builds make an item more useful than others, and also I did mainly keep it to items that I've tried out myself because I feel like that's the best way to give you guys accurate recommendations. So I may do another video later on once I get access to a bunch more legendaries, but I went through a ton of items and found some amazing ones, especially like the top 4. Those are the ones I use like all the time, and they are insane. So starting out here with number 10, you've got the ASMD. Now this one is mainly useful for dealing electric damage, you know, like draining shields and stuff like that. And basically it is a Maliwan sniper. As you can see here are some of the stats, and its flavor text is you planning a follow-up. Now it is a very interesting item as well, because when you fire it when you're not aimed down sights, it fires out this orb that travels forward fairly slowly. Now basically you let that orb get close to some enemies, and then you aim down the sights, fire at that orb, and it does an area of effect damage to every enemy around it. So yeah, definitely a very unique one, but it is great for getting rid of shields on enemies, and also enemies that are like hiding behind cover, because you can time it, and it's actually a lot easier to trigger that area of effect than you might think. So yeah, definitely really good. It's not the craziest item in the world, but hey, it's only number 10. After that then I would have to include the only grenade here, and that is the Nagata. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but hopefully close enough. I didn't have access to a ton of grenades in the game, but this one is fairly solid. So the version I had, you know, it's going to change the damage and radius depending on what level you're at, but it says Belta Lauda. I'm not sure what that is, but the effect that it has is when you throw it into the air, it multiplies in the air and then fires a bunch of them in a really quick line to like a longbow grenade, since it is technically a longbow. But again, it fires multiples in very fast succession, which makes it fairly useful. It deals a good amount of damage, especially against larger bosses. It is tough to hit, you know, moving enemies with it, so I do recommend using it for bosses for a little bit of extra damage when you're going up against them. Now keeping it going here with number 8, this is where we start to get into the really interesting ones. You've got the Malicks Bane. Now this one, I mainly like it a lot because it's basically a mix of a sniper and also a shotgun, and I think it can come in different elemental types. I'm pretty sure it can. I got the incendiary version, but as you can see, here's the version that I got. The flavor text simply says welcome to the end, and again, it is a very interesting one, but it's also great because it has a large magazine size. It tends to consume 2 ammo per shot, but that's still fairly good for a sniper. And also considering that you can switch between the shotgun mode, which fires out a bunch of projectiles, is really quite good at actually dealing status effect damage. I think this one was like a 38% chance. So if you switch between the modes, it's actually very, very good at dealing status effects. And then you can switch back to the sniper mode. So it's basically 2 items in one. That's why I wanted to include it here for the most part, because if you get into an area where you maybe need a shotgun, this is a great alternative that you can use without taking up a slot in your inventory. Now after that then you also have the Embrace the Pain. Now this one, I wasn't sure if I wanted to put it at number 6 because I wasn't a huge fan of it at first, but it started to grow on me. Now this one, it's a Children of the Vault item. As you can see, the flavor text, probably because it's like, you know, a bandit type item, and I think it can maybe come in different elementals. Not 100% sure, but the main thing about it is that it charges up slowly, but it gets to have a very, very good fire rate. And especially if you have like the incendiary version like I have, it is, you know, fairly good at dealing damage, especially when you're up close to an enemy and you can hit those criticals very, very easily. So yeah, it's just solid all around. It's nothing too crazy, but again, it works out pretty well. Now then getting into it with the top 6, these are the items that I use the most, and the first of which is the Skeksil here. Now I posted a farming guide on how to get this item, and I definitely recommend checking that out. I will leave a link to it down below in the description, and the reason that I recommend this is because it is an SMG. It is manufactured by Children of the Vault, so you don't actually have to reload it. But basically the main use for this one is dealing status effects. It is very, very good at dealing status effects, and also has a good amount of damage as well to it. How it works is it fires in bursts, and then after those bursts fires out projectiles based on the elemental type that you have for it. And I do know that it can come in different elemental types. Like I had a version for corrosive, but I've also heard about like, you know, incendiary versions, shock versions, and those projectiles that fire out after each burst are very, very good at dealing elemental status effects to enemies in a very, very consistent way. So yeah, combining the damage, the fire rate of it, also those projectiles that also deal damage on their own, and then on top of that, it also is great at dealing element status effects. It is an amazing weapon all around, especially since, again, it can come in different elements, plus the farm for it is super easy. It's got to be on this list for sure. And then after that, guys, we are now getting into it with the top 5, and these are some amazing ones. However, let's start it out here with what I think is a very good shield all around. It is called the Stopgap shield. Now, the effect of this one is very unique. Looking at it here, it says the process is called living, and as you can see, on shield break, you become immune to any damage taken for 5 seconds. That by itself is very, very solid, especially if you have a build that reduces your recharge delay and stuff like that, because you can get your recharge delay under 5 seconds, and if you can take cover soon after your shield breaks, you can basically get the shield to recharge very, very easily. And again, that 5 seconds of immunity gives you that time that you need to run off and hide behind something to gain that shield back. So yeah, I used this one for a while before I actually found an even better shield, which we're going to talk about, but overall it is very solid. After that, then you have the Sawbar. This one is very unique as well and is very good at dealing damage at like a medium range distance, and I'll show you why here. And also, I think this one can come in different elements as well, but as you can see, it is an AR. It does heat up, but it actually takes a while for it to heat up. Like, as you can see there, around like 99 shots to heat up. That means you can like continue to fire this one for a very long time. However, that's not the best thing about it. The best thing about it is that at a certain distance, like medium range distance, each bullet splits into 3 more separate bullets and then explodes at, again, a certain distance. So basically, if you can stay at that distance away from enemies where you can get that split, it deals a ton of damage and also is great because you're a fair distance away from enemies, making it harder for them to deal damage to you. So yeah, it's a very good one overall. A ton of pros to it. But now, guys, we are getting into it with the top 3. These ones were hard to pick. Honestly, each one could have been number 1 because of how good they are. But let's start it off here with the long musket, and it's a weird name because I don't really get why it has that name, but it is like a flamethrower type item, which honestly is insane. This thing deals so much damage. Like, seriously, it deals so much more damage than pretty much all of my other weapons. And even though it says it like deals minus 25% damage or something like that, or mine was minus 24%, it still deals a lot more damage than most of my other items. There's really only one item of mine that beats it out, but like, as you can see in the example gameplay right here, it is insane. It just mows through enemies very, very easily. You do have to get fairly close to them, but I mean, that's not really a problem, especially with the shield I'm about to show you soon. And also, when you reload it, it runs around on the ground, firing more flamethrowers at enemies and stuff like that. So overall, it is really, really good. But yeah, guys, talking about a shield here, this is by far one of the best shields in the game. It is honestly very, very good. The shield that I'm talking about here is the back Hamm. Seriously, guys, you need to get this item because it is so good. So the text for it, synthetic Vercuian Hamm or something like that. Typhon de Leon approved. I don't know. But look at the stats for it. Damage taken from behind is reduced by 56%. That is right. It halves damage from any enemy that is behind you. On top of that, there is a 40% chance to reflect projectiles while shielded, which when I was testing it out, I am pretty sure that that means you have a 40% chance of not taking damage. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but like, take a look at this right here. I was just sitting looking at some loot and I'm taking a ton of shots, but only some of them are dealing damage to me. And I mean, you can see here, I barely lose any shield. When I was using another shield in this same situation, I was, getting knocked fairly often. But with this shield, I could just, not even really worry about enemies. I could run around looking at loot and I still would not lose very much shield. On top of that, the reflected projectiles would deal damage to enemies around me, so I'd be dealing damage without even trying to. So yes, again, this is a very good one. My favorite shield so far. It honestly makes you feel like invincible a lot of the time when you're playing. And then, guys, let's get into it with the number 1 item that I had to put up. It is this one right here. Seriously, this item is so amazing. This one returns from Borderlands 2. It was maybe in Borderlands 1 as well, but I don't remember it being as good in Borderlands 2. In this game, though, it is amazing. The way that I've described it to friends is like a rocket launcher that uses shotgun ammo. It is honestly better than a lot of rocket launchers, but again, it is not a rocket launcher. It deals so much damage. So basically, when you fire it, it fires forward a short distance in front of you, and then all of these projectiles explode in like this giant wall, and they all deal damage to the enemy that is in the center of it, meaning that you can one-shot tons of enemies. You can one-shot groups of enemies with this, and especially against bosses, it deals so much damage to bosses with all of those separate little projectile things, whatever you want to call them. It makes short work of bosses, and honestly, it feels a little bit cheap. It's so good. It feels like it's not meant to do that good, but definitely, guys, if you can get your hands on this item, I 100% recommend it. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more fun Borderlands 3 videos coming out in the near future. On top of that, you can check out some of my previous videos here, and without further ado, guys, I will see you in the next one.